Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome back to our annual Halloween get-together storytelling and, well, whatever else we're going to get into tonight, because neither one of us have any idea what we're going to talk about. We started thinking about it a couple of weeks ago, but let me welcome right now my good friend Eric Hugging Bear Davis. Welcome, my brother.
Hello, everybody. It's great to be here, brother. And I can't wait to see how our friends and family and audience responds, and let's get into it. Woo.
You want to start our stories off, or do you want me to start stories off?
Go ahead. I will follow.
So we told some of the good doozies last year, some that were kind of iconic in our life, not really thinking that we were going to do them again this year. And I guess about a month and a half ago, I came to Eric and I said, "Hey, I know this is Halloween's on a Monday this year. Hey, Carrie, how are you? Great to see you. Thank you for coming and joining us." But it was just like he does a drum circle every Monday night. So I said, "Can you do it? Because I know your drum circles can go late sometimes." And he goes, "No." He goes, "I'll get somebody to close it up. I'll do it early." So he's actually coming straight from drum circle into this, and all this just to be said that we both said, okay, we're going to figure out what to say tonight, and of course neither one of us did. But with each of us having over 25 years of doing this work, there's plenty of stories, and I think one of the things that I want to share tonight is that sometimes it's not about the scary stories, but sometimes it's about just the way we do healing. Hey, Katrina, welcome.
Hey, Katrina.
So sometimes it's all about the healings that we do, and one of them that hey, Davey, welcome.
Hello, Debbie.
One of the things that I kind of wanted to talk about were some of the healings, because it's not always scary, but sometimes it's very scary situations. And the first one I'm going to start with is back in, I think it was 2006, 2007, somewhere in that area. I got a phone call from a friend of mine to work on someone. And this person had been doing some farm work and had been on a tractor, and getting down off of it, he scratched his leg. Really something that shouldn't have been too bad. It got infected. He didn't deal with it in time. And to make a long story a little bit shorter, ended up with gangrene. And they were talking about amputating his leg. None of the antibiotics were working. Nothing was doing anything. And so, of course, I get the Hail Mary call. Can you come in and do anything? And I said, well, okay, let me come. And I went there and I took my stuff together, and you can see the talismans on the wall behind me. I got there and I drew one that seemed to be very specific for him. It was something that was channeled. It was something that heaven was telling me to do. And so this person was very, very religious and was a little bit freaked out, especially drawing talismans and having him, wrap them around his leg and all of that kind of thing. It just was not something he was comfortable with. But his friend made sure he did it, and continued on with medications. But he had gone through almost 3 months of medications, and nothing was working. And within a week, everything sealed over. Everything was fine. The doctors looked like, what the heck just happened? These are things, to me, that's as much a ghost story as anything else, because this man was about to lose his leg. And those are the things that you see as a healer, as a shaman, as a light worker. Those are some of the things that you see. And I've got another couple of them that I'm going to tell, but I really want to talk about the bright side of the dark work, because our work is an extremely dark work, as you and I have talked about this a great deal. The work itself is very dark, but the outcome is bright, the outcome is light, and so I kind of want to share some of that with you. So I'm going to pass it over to Eric, and you can either continue on that same pattern or go to someplace else.
Yeah, I want to touch up on that darkness. You know, as a healer, a shaman, any kind of title people want to throw at us or put on our head. You know, mostly Harry and I just think we're just normal people doing our normal thing. You know, to us, this isn't unusual. To us, this is a way of life. And when Harry says darkness, he really means darkness. You know, a lot of the healings we work people through require doing shadow work. A lot of people think shadow work is your darkness, but it is not. Your shadow work is identifying the 90% of your personality that you're unaware of. Your shadow is the 90% of you that you don't know about. And typically it's half light and half dark. As we do our work, as we work through the darkness in our shadow, first you embrace it and own it. Then you love it. And then you work on transmuting it into light and healing the triggers and the catalysts that created that darkness. And in the beginning, you go, oh, I just cleared a piece of darkness. And then you go, oh, there's a bigger one right behind it. It's kind of like, you know, you go into the abyss and you say, oh, there's this sea monster that's this big around, and you slay, like Beowulf would do. You slay the sea monster with your sword. And then you go, oh, now that that sea monster is gone, I can see the one that's that big behind it. And then that big. And eventually you say, oh, you start seeing a pattern of slaying or slewing or slaying, whatever the Old English term is. Sea monsters are, you know, the monsters within ourself. And then you do have the opportunity for your shadow to have more light than dark. But that's not a calling card, and that doesn't make you any better than anyone else. It just means you're doing your work. It means you're flat out doing your work. And that is where the significant, the unexplainable, the mysterious, the miraculous type healings typically come from. It takes a powerhouse of energy to clear it all out. But it also, in many cases, takes doing that work. Or sometimes it'll come back. And a lot of the times the powerhouse isn't of energy, or the healer that can create that type of healing does not connect and does not sync up with the person until they've done their work or until they're ready to do their work. Back to you, Harry.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, many of you know that I have, that I've been doing 49 days of chanting that ended on Saturday for my dear friend Lao Shi, otherwise known as Patrick Lovett. And one of the interesting things that happened during that chanting over and over again was I had a picture on the altar. And anyone who knows Patrick knows that he really did not like people putting him on the altar or trying to make him into a deity or a guru or anything like that. That just wasn't his style. But when I work on people, I put them on the altar. And when I had him on the altar a number of times while I was in the middle of my 108 mantra of lights, he would, that picture would fall. And I don't really know how the picture can possibly fall. I mean, it was pretty sturdy on there. But, you know, I'd get into the middle of it, in the middle of the chanting, boom, I would hear it in the background. A couple of times I would look back, but usually I was just in too much of a trance to figure it out. But, you know, these are things that happen to people when somebody passes away. And they, you know, they try to honor them, they try to do things, and you get all these weird little circumstances that happen over and over again. And something like that, you know, finally I moved him over to the side And I said, okay, I'm going to put you off to the side. It never fell again. Once again, keeping it light so far, but also showing that that spirit realm does exist. That spirit realm does manifest itself. And if you want to pay attention and if you want to look at it, you shouldn't be scared of it necessarily, but just know that it happens and don't worry about it. I know there's somebody watching right now that deals with loved ones that have passed away on a pretty regular basis, and they make themselves known. So, and they're fine with it. It's become part of life. So, that's a great thing. A new one.
So I want to say one thing. Going back, I want to circle back to.
Pull this back.
Oh yeah, because I keep
Second.
trying to get close to the mic. Anyway, it's funny that over the years, and I'm pretty sure Harry will agree, that many times when we plan out what we're going to say on a podcast such as this, first, we'll sit and we'll meditate and get really grounded and really connected to go in and do it. Quite often, everything we had written down, or most of everything written down and planned out, will not happen. And a more magical podcast will formulate more, because we connect really closely to Creator. But quite often when we plan it out, we're using our brain based on experiences and what we've done and what we've seen and what people will benefit by. But when it comes down to it, those that are tuned in will, make it to Creator's radar, and then Creator will send us what to say, and it'll become much more magical than we could have ever planned. And that was something I wanted to circle back to.
Absolutely.
So I also want to share that approximately 20 years ago, I got a call to go to a well-known hospital that does a lot of rehabilitation. Can we mention the names of hospitals and stuff? Or I guess there's no reason we can't.
Is it?
It's been published, so I guess
Okay,
we can.
go ahead.
And in a newspaper. Yeah, so anyway, it was TIR, Texas Institute of Research and Rehabilitation, or Rehabilitation and Research. And there was a man that had been blown up in Iraq. Somebody had one of those missiles that you see in the war movies, and it shoots a missile off from the shoulder into the cab of his truck, and it blew his arm off. They flew him to Germany, and they did surgery. And he called his wife and said, well, honey, the good news is I'm coming home. The bad news is I have one arm missing, and the good news is I have one arm left to hug you with. I can't wait to see you. And they told each other they loved each other and blew each other kisses and got off the phone. So he went to sleep. He woke up. He was doing the healing thing until they could stabilize him enough to fly him back to the U.S. And he was doing well, so I guess they didn't have the monitors on him. And a blood clot released, and he died right there in his room, and he was not monitored. And so they, did a code blue, I guess, and they resuscitated him. But after they resuscitated him, they figured out that he had been dead for 20 minutes. And that's too long to wait to resuscitate somebody, because they stay brain dead in many cases. And so they flew him back to the U.S. and they told his wife that, the plug needed to be pulled, that he would never do anything more than drool. And that was all he would do. And so she argued and fussed, and she was definitely tenacious. And she had a lot of chutzpah, and she just absolutely argued and fussed with them. And then she started making calls, and she called a healing center that has now closed. They've retired, and called Centerpoint, and the owner of Centerpoint said, Eric's the guy. If anybody can go in and find him and see if he's in there, he's the guy that I would recommend. And so she called me, and I just happened to be in a position to drive straight up there. And I spent quite a bit of time, but he was tracking in a short period of time of working on him. And then I worked on him 3 to 5 days a week for about 6 months. I started going to the tier meetings because they wanted to know why what I was doing was working. And I said, well, everything we're all doing collectively is working. But y'all's sessions are an hour. You know, it takes 5 minutes to set up. It takes 5 minutes to break down, and it takes 5 minutes to do the paperwork. So you really only get 45 working minutes. I've timed it. And they said, yeah, that's about right. I said, it takes me 3 hours to get him to come out. He goes back into his catatonic or his coma state. And it takes 3 hours just to get him to wake up. Why don't you have your sessions follow mine? And so they started doing that, and they started seeing a lot more progress in their sessions. After about 6 months, he was able to stand up on his own. He took 6 steps. He turned to his wife and said, I love you, and kissed her on the cheek and put his arm around her and hugged her. And that is a testament to not what a healer can do, but what somebody who is ill can do. I didn't heal that man. He healed himself. I was a guide and I was a conduit for it. It got written up in the Chronicle. But ultimately, that man healed himself. And a lot of times people think that we healers heal people, and we really don't. We're a guide for the process. We're a conduit for the energy. We channel the introspective and the shadow work and what to do and where to go with it. And that's how people heal. So I had COVID a little over a year ago, and we figured out I had long COVID, which means you don't have COVID anymore, but you have the symptoms. And one of the issues I had was some memory loss, and they were all coming back. And I was saying, oh, wow, I'm finally back. Everything is back to normal except for my sense of smell and taste. Every now and then it goes out, but rather than every now and then I can smell something, every now and then there's a moment where I can't. But sometimes, if you get a little sinusy, that can happen anyway. And then I was in an automobile accident on August 17th, and I drive a heavy duty truck with big jacked up tires. It is rugged, and it is made to go through pastures and over rocks and, creek beds, and it's really a heavy duty work truck. And I got hit hard enough to where my head hit the window and I have memory loss. And so now I'm having to walk myself through that process that I've walked so many through. And the key for me has been rest, sleep, no stress, and doing more introspection and doing more shadow work. And so I just want people to know that Harry and I are human, and we get to do our own shadow work, and we get to do our own introspection. Without that, we don't get to do the healing work. I don't know how many hours a day Harry spends meditating and doing shadow work and introspection, but I know I do about 2 to 3 hours a day. And I'm going to bet Harry, puts in a fair bit too. I don't know if we've ever talked about it. If we have, I don't remember it. But would you say a couple hours a day is fair?
Between the actual work that I do and the work that I do on people, and then the work that I have to do on myself, you go some days with an hour, some days with 4 hours, some days with longer than that. And it's true, people get frustrated with me sometimes because I disappear for a day or two. And when I disappear like that, it's because I've got something going on I have to deal with. And people don't always understand just how much energy we expel when we work with people. Even to sit and have a conversation is using a great deal of energy, because you're never just having a conversation. You're always working on something. And some people know my habits when I'm sitting there, and I'll raise my hand up a little bit. Usually if I've got my hands down, they'll be in this position, or they'll be they'll be holding a mudra, they'll be sending out. Sometimes I'll just look at somebody and kind of go, because that's what they need. they need to have their energy smoothed out. Their energy is just so out of balance that we do little things throughout the day. And it's not a session. This isn't about a session. This isn't about somebody paying you for work. This is showing up at the tea shop, and seeing somebody and somebody talking with you and kind of, pouring their heart and soul out to you. Hello there, Gypsy Medicine Woman. How are you doing? Thank you for joining in. So there are all these things that we do on a regular basis. And when I teach classes, which I don't do that often, Eric does. Eric teaches a great deal of classes. I teach small groups of people when the time comes and when it's right. But one of the things that I teach is when you walk into a room, there's so much energy vampirism going on. And one of the easiest ways that you can block that energy vampirism is just to walk into the room and offer a little bit of your energy somewhere in the room. Now, sometimes I'll offer it to a table. I'll go and I'll just mentally put some energy onto a table. It can be the furthest table away. It can be the table right next to somebody. It doesn't matter. Whichever table I choose, the next person who walks into the room goes and sits at that table every time because they needed more energy. The only time that that's not the case is when another healer walks in, and another healer will go, "Oh, I don't need that today," and they'll go someplace else. But anybody who needs energy will consistently go and sit at that table. And there's a couple of people that I know who do the same thing. We've had that conversation. I'm not sure you and I have actually had that particular conversation, but I know the funny one, and this one happens, this is like all the time. We all have favorite teacups at the Path of Tea. and the Path of Tea is an unofficial sponsor of this event. They really are. I need to do something more for them, but they've become an unofficial sponsor. People will always gravitate towards the teacups that light workers use. And what's even funnier is that light workers all gravitate to the same 4 cups. Over and over again. The one cup that I love there, it was made by my friend Lauren, and Lauren, who, she made these beautiful tea bowls, matcha tea bowls, and these are, Lauren Axelrod. She's awesome. She was professionally trained in Japanese tea ceramics, and always it seems like her cups always tend to go, but there's one cup in particular, and it's like every energy worker comes in and they always gravitate towards this one cup, and it's become quite amusing. It really has. Hello, Bobbin and Lene. How are y'all? Thank you for joining in.
Hey, Bobbin and Lenny, and Chris also, and Gypsy. Hello, thank y'all for joining.
So, I don't know where this whole topic went off into. It really started spreading out, and that's kind of one of those things we start rambling. But it's about talking about energy. It really is, and even there's a topic that I'm going to bring up tonight that has nothing to do with haunted stories. But we are on basically stories of shaman, stories of healers, stories of light workers. Oh, Lauren, thank you for being here. So, Lauren,
hey, Lauren, we are loving your cups. These are absolutely amazing. If y'all want to drink out of a cup like this, find Lauren. These are absolutely, not only are they beautiful, they're balanced, but they feel good. They feel like they were made with lots of love. and they're beautiful
They were.
inside too.
I can tell you, I
You
know
can
Lauren
feel
well
it.
enough to know she doesn't make unless she's got lots of love. She doesn't make unless she's feeling it.
And the insides are
and we
beautiful
may have to wait
too.
for a long time for new ones.
Hey, I'm going to sneak out with this one when you're not looking.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
No, I'm not doing that to my karma for sure. But I will joke about it.
I know where you live.
Oh, you know where I live. Darn. I guess I won't get away with it.
If you wanted it that bad, I might part with one. But
Yeah.
so it really is. It's stories of the whole thing is stories of just who we are and what we do. There was a question I had in mind before I started all that. I know where I was going to go with this. So this is a very personal pet peeve of watching the industry, of just watching everything in this in the healing industry and the way that people react to certain things. And so I'm going to ask Eric to tell the story of how he became Hugging Bear and why he became Hugging Bear and the significance, the true significance of the hugs. Because we know we've got Eric, we've got, of course, Amaji, the hugging saint who's made a habit of hugging people, but I've heard some of the story, and I'd love for you to share as much of it as you'd like.
Sure. I'll share as much of it as I remember today. How's that?
Fair enough.
I reserve the right to finish the story next year on Halloween if I forget something.
Cool.
Anyway, I was studying with a shaman who never really liked to identify with what the names of things were. He didn't want to talk so much about naming things. He wanted to give experiential lessons. He was very Socratic in his method. He rarely ever gave me an answer without 100 questions and me coming up with 3 or 4 answers, and then he'd kind of give me an answer, steer me in the direction. And that was perfect for me, because if he had just handed it to me, it might not have felt so earned for me. And although I have studied with Don Miguel Ruiz, this is Juan Miguel Villalobos. Very similar names, but not quite the same. They sound alike. The first two sound a lot alike. And he taught me a lot about the Toltec ways, as did Don Miguel. And I would always meet him out in the hill country, and I never called him and said, "Hey, I'm on my way in." We never called. I would just drive. It was 265 miles from my home out to a place in the whole country that I frequented. And I would pull into a random gas station out there. There were a dozen I could have chosen from, and he'd be standing there. And he'd just nod and smile and put a hand up and wave. And then I'd go, "It's 3:30 in the morning. I thought I was going to go sleep and then look for him." And he'd walk over and say, "You're about an hour late." And I'd say, "I did stop for an hour on the way here, and it was an unexpected." "How do you know about that?" And he'd just go, "That's between you and Creator and me and Creator." And so those were the types of experiences I had with him for several years. And one day he was a little more reserved than normal, and I knew something was different. I felt there was a little bit of a distance there, but I figured he would tell me if it was something I needed to know about. I did ask him how everything was in his world, and he said normal. And so we hugged and parted, and I started walking, and then I hear him say, "Hugging Bear." "Hugging Bear. It fits. It fits." And I went, "No. Short bear, ugly bear, mean bear, strong bear, eagle bear, anything but hug." Oh, no, he did not. Oh, my God, he didn't. Please, God, tell me he did not just give me a spirit name. Hugging Bear. Oh, no. So I paused and I slowly turned around like, I thought there was a real bear a lion or a tiger, hunting me from behind.
Oh, my.
And he's standing there just laughing, shaking his hand at me. And he says, "It fits. It really does fit. That is your name." And I went, "Oh, no." He says, "Don't worry. One day you'll get past your ego and you'll grow into it." He says, "You will grow into acceptance of it. You are already Hugging Bear, but you will grow into acceptance of it." And it did take me a little while to grow into acceptance of it. I just was like, of all the native or the spirit names I could have ever received, Hugging Bear? Oh. And so that led to another conversation. And he says, "You have medicine men that train for years to share peyote, and that is their medicine. You have medicine men that train for years to share different types of medicine, and they have to literally apprentice for years, sometimes a decade." He says, "This is your natural medicine. Your natural medicine is hugging, and the root of that is love." He says, "That's what people go to medicine men for, is to find love, to reconnect with love." And at that moment, I felt my throat tightening up and my mouth started watering, and I'm sure I started sweating, and I'm like, "Oh my God. Yeah, I get it. That makes sense." And so he just explained that many of the people that go and take medicine with healers and shamans are trying to really reconnect and re-identify with love. He says, "You just pour love, and you're not trying to get something for it. It's just your medicine. You exude it, and it permeates, and then the people around you start replicating that. And if they hold that space, other people will replicate it." And he said, "That is one of your main medicines." And I'm just like, wow. And I just literally, like, for the first time, I think I was speechless. I was rarely speechless growing up. So there's a woman that's named Amici, who is considered the hugging saint. And there were a number of times I went to see her, and she always gave me really long hugs and then would stop and just get eye to eye, nose to nose. The first time I was like, "What is she doing?" She didn't do that with the other people. And there was a long line. And I was like, "What is she doing?" And then sometimes she'd go forehead to forehead with me. And then one time, two or three times, she even put her lips on my forehead. It wasn't like a kiss. It was just and she'd look into my eyes. And then there was one time she was doing blessings, but not hugs. And she hugged me. And a couple people said, why is she hugging him? And she stopped and looked at them and said, "Because his gift is the same as mine. His medicine, his healing is through hugging and love also. And we're trading information." Okay, I get it. That makes sense. I've done that. I just, I'm used to doing that, not having it done. And it felt amazing. It was really amazing. And I was able in that moment it was like our energies merged, and I was able to see her life through her eyes and see what she sees when she's helping and hugging people. And it's very similar to what I see. It's just a little bit different. And so that reminds me of another moment. I want to go on a slight tangent. Please. I was on my way to Watervliet, Michigan. I would go there 4 to 5 times a year. My mother actually went also. My mom is a psychotherapist and a shaman as well, and has been a psychotherapist for, probably, I don't know, maybe 30 years, probably. I'm going to guess around 30 years. My time frame may be a little bit off. And so we were going and we were spending like a 3 to 5 or 7 day weekend out in the middle of the mountains at a camp called Camp Renora. And we were studying with John Perkins. And one of the trips, I just stopped as we were getting on the plane, and I looked at her and said, "There's going to be another shaman on the plane." And she was, "Okay, well, why do you say that?" You know, my mom doesn't challenge what I say. She'll ask me why or how I know, but she does not challenge it. She just wants more information. I said, "I don't know. I just got the feeling that we're supposed to be aware that there's going to be another shaman and to try to sit next to him." She goes, "It's a him?" I said, "Yeah." And she says, "Well, we have assigned seating. So that means we'd have to trade 2 seats to sit with him." And I said, "Well, all I know is we're supposed to sit with him, and I would doubt we're seated next to him." We were seated next to him. He was an African shaman, and he was flying up there to do some classes and teach classes. And we connected, and at one point, he asked for permission to go forehead to forehead so I could see his life and see the techniques and tools that he uses. But in turn, he wanted to be able to see what I do as well. And I said, "Yeah, of course." And so we, on the middle of an airplane, I'm sure security thought we were absolutely nuts or shouldn't be drinking. And we were not. We were sober. And we went forehead to forehead, and I could see him back in Africa, and I could see healings he had done. I could see him doing healings in the States. And it was like I could hear the language, which I've not studied, and I could understand it in those moments. And then when we knew it was time to separate, I was able to ask him questions about what I saw, and he confirmed, and he gave me names for things, which what do you call that? I don't know. I just do it. I'm not so much on remembering all the names of things. I'm more into creating a sacred space, creating a safe space that is sacred, filling it with divinity. When you fill a space with divinity, there's no room for anything negative. There's no room for demons and black stuff and dark stuff if the space is full of divinity. And so, we traded, 30 or 40 techniques in what felt like somewhere between 3 minutes and 3 months. It was the most amazing thing. I asked my mom, "How long were we forehead to forehead?" She goes, "A while." I said, 3 minutes or 3 months, Mom? And she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe 10 minutes. I said, "Well, did you observe anything?" She said, "Every now and then y'all would kind of, both of you at the same time, if one of your shoulders went this way, the other one would also, and they would be at the same time." And she said it was really, really interesting to watch. Y'all were absolutely connected. And so, oops, let me knock the table around. And so, why am I telling this story?
Well,
what led me on this tangent?
Yeah, well, we were talking about hugging. We were talking about
hugging techniques. Yeah, healing. And so, I just want to tell everybody, as Harry and I we're doing hundreds or thousands more healings than some of the healers watching right now that are coming up. I want you to know we are no more special, no more powerful, and no better than anyone else. Everyone here in this dimension has the opportunity to do the same thing. You have to do your introspection. You have to do your shadow work. You have to work through issues with ego like we're doing. We're not saying we've done it. We're saying we are doing it. We are not ascended masters. We are humans. We have human tastes, human desires. We just have maybe different rules in our code to follow about acting upon human desires. We can't do a lot of the things maybe that are in, are
I would say that,
we can't just go around doing some of the normal things, but that's only because we have to keep our space safe. It's not that we don't have desires. It's not that we don't want to do things, and have connections, but as you're doing this and you're learning and you're growing and evolving, remember, you can do anything and everything Harry and I do. You can do it better than we do it. You can learn it faster than we do it.
We've just taken the responsibility to do it.
Yes.
That's the big difference.
Yeah.
Every time I start teaching, it's like, am I special at what I do? Yes, but not because I'm special, but because I took the time and the action to learn it and to practice it. So many people will actually go and they'll take a weekend class, or they'll take a series of classes, and then they never do anything. The class is just teaching you how to do it. We can teach you and show you what to do, but you become a healer when you actually start to do the work. Because trust me, you come out of a training and you think, well, wow, I know everything, and I can do this and I can do that, and I can draw the holy symbols and send that energy into you. But if you don't do it, it's just a book inside of a shelf. Knowledge is one thing, but wisdom is the application of knowledge.
Yes.
Wisdom is what happens when you actually apply it, and you begin to understand why the technique that you learned was what it was, or was what it is. Because throughout this, my tool chest is gigantic now, because I keep learning all these techniques through all of my teachers, both here and in Thailand and in India and around the world, people that I've had a chance to study with. And I always have to loop back around to these techniques, because you start to forget them and you go, well, yeah, that's right, that's in my tool chest. But if you don't practice it, then you forget the harmony, and you actually don't have that connection with it anymore. You can actually lose connection in certain techniques, and sometimes it's time to let those go, because those were just a stepping stone for you to keep moving up the ladder. But I was talking with Master Lim one time, and I was looking at him and going, Master Lim, you were so much further, so much higher than I am, and so much better than I am at certain things. And he says, okay. He says, but I've been doing it for 30 years longer than you have. He said, don't ever discount what you are and who you are to this practice. And also, we started having this conversation. The people at the temple were, they would call me Master Harry, and that of course just makes me real uncomfortable. I'm not one who likes that title. I think that title is thrown around haphazardly. And finally, he looked at me one day and he says, Harry, he says, you've been practicing for over 22 years since I've known you. He said, at what point do you allow yourself to become a master? Because it's going to happen whether you want it to or not. That's just the evolution. That's the evolution of all of this. And you can call yourself a teacher. I think it's that word that I have a problem with, because mastership is thrown around. These people go and take a 3-day class and suddenly they are a master of something. No, I'm sorry. And so there's this thing about changing the names. That's being called master, I think, is scarier than any story I can come up with.
Yeah, I know that. Wait a minute. If you're going to call me a master, that means you have expectations of me. Right. And I may not live up to those expectations.
And I don't have those same expectations of myself.
Right. I want to talk about what mastery really is in my eyes, and you too. Mastery is taking a technique and studying it with a teacher and learning that technique from the top to the bottom, from the side to the side, from the front to the back, inside out and outside in, and then practicing it for a period of time to where when you are considering using that technique, you know how to use it with that person. You know immediately if it's resonating with them and working. And then you've used it so many times you can improve upon that technique and do it in a way that you were not taught in a more effective manner than you do the technique that you were taught. You have then mastered that technique because you can improve upon it. When you're doing healing techniques, when you can improve upon that technique for your use, not everybody else's, for your use, that is part of mastery. But being able to do integration work with someone after a session when they're screaming and they go primal and they're screaming bloody murder because they've gone back to trauma in their life, their childhood, whatever it was, and being able to hold space with them for 5 minutes or 5 hours or 5 days without rushing them, without needing to rush them, without needing to control it, allowing them to process and go through it, and then being able to put them back together, put all their marbles back in the bag, rearrange the marbles with them, not for them, with them, and sewing them back up to a place where they're healthier than when you started. That is mastery. Not going and taking Reiki, 3 levels of Reiki in the same day. Because that you may have the Reiki certificate of mastery, but applying it hundreds and hundreds of times is what makes the person the master. And I'm not diminishing if you took Reiki three levels in one day. I've taken Reiki under 4 different masters. I know I have 3 fingers up, but under 4 different masters. And the 4th time, all right, put that back up. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. And the 4th time I did take all 3 levels in one day because the masters said I could, because I had done the work and I had the understanding and the work, not the knowledge, the working knowledge and the experience. And my masters said, it's a concept of a different type of, it's the same energy, but it moves like this rather than this or rather than that. And I want to teach you this way. And you can do that in the same day. And everybody can if you practice it. You know, I'm not any better than anyone else. It's just a level of experience. I've done more than 50,000 healings in my life. That's a lot of healings. That's a lot of times where I went, oh my God, I could have done that differently. Oh my God, I could have done that way better. That is what leads you to mastery. It's not saying I did a good job, pat me on the back. It's, oh my God, I could have done that so much better or more effective. It's looking at all the ways in a non-judgmental, non-critical manner. How can I improve upon this? Here, go ahead.
So, first, we were talking about Reiki.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've taught a number of Reiki classes, and I enjoy teaching them. Reiki is a frequency. So when you take Reiki 1, Reiki 2, Reiki 3, you are opening yourself up to very specific healing frequencies. And the Reiki 3, the Reiki master, is the frequency to be able to pass attunements to other people. So that is not the mastery. It should have always been called okay, so hold on. I've just got to go here with this. My dear friend, it says, how long does it take to become an ass-ended master? Which is something I was going to say. You were saying earlier,
right away, I can be an ass-ended master. I can show my ass that fast.
You were saying
the
earlier,
speed of light.
You know, we are not ascended masters,
Right.
And I was going to stop you right then and go,
It's
no,
like ass-ended.
but I am an ass-ended
Right.
master, and
I'm an ass-ended master too.
We love to make fun
Thank
of
you.
ourselves. We love to make something. Matt, thank you so much for saying
Was
it.
that Matt that asked?
Yeah, it's a paradigm,
Thank you,
paradigm
Matt.
shapeshifter, but my friend Matt and but each of these things, even when you go to some of the Tibetan masters and get empowerments, or you go to anybody and get empowerments, the empowerment is the frequency. They
Right.
open your crown, they embed the frequency into you. And at that moment in time, you have the frequency. Now you have to do the work. They unlock the door, but they will not do the work for you. They give you the tools in which to do the work. And that's really one of the important things. Something I was going to loop back to after we talked about hugging, and then you talked about your story about going forehead to forehead. When I first came back from India and Thailand, I didn't hug. I had been so much, the monks don't hug. So
Right.
I would hold here. If it was somebody that I was really close with, I would grab their hands, and I would do an eye-to-eye transmission. If it was somebody that I really wanted to blast, I would go forehead to forehead, because there is nothing like going forehead to forehead with somebody. If you've never
That's so true.
if you've never experienced it, if you get a really good person, but they have to have really good energy, because you're going third eye to third eye. It is an instant empowerment, and even 5 seconds can seem like a lifetime.
You can see a lifetime in 5 seconds. The speed in which things process when you go to that place is
Awesome divine timing.
right. There's no way to explain how fast a year's worth of visions can pass through. Or you can be there for an hour and have that much go through. We're not in control of that. We can try to turn the volume and tweak the speed, but that's really, once we decide that we're going to go forehead to forehead, it's really between the two foreheads and Creator. And Creator is definitely the one in charge.
And if a teacher, if a person who has the training decides to go forehead to forehead with you, I will tell you something. You are very special to them, because they trust you. They trust going forehead to forehead with you. It's not something to be taken lightly. I kind of did take it that way for a while, because those were my hugs. Going forehead to forehead was my way of hugging people. And it was always, I would grab their hand, because we would both be here, and I would grab them. I would go eye to eye, and then I would pull them in. It's a powerful, powerful blessing. And that's what it is. And when I work like that, just me personally in the way that I do things, I usually call in either Medicine Buddha, or I call in Guanyin. And so I will see them come into my crown, take over my body for a moment, so that when I go forehead to forehead with somebody, I am doing it either with the Medicine Buddha or with Guanyin. And it's not up to me who comes in. I ask one of them to come in, and I ask whoever needs it for somebody specific. The one caveat to that was Archangel Michael came through for somebody who had a deep affinity with Archangel Michael. It's not something that usually happens, but it was for them. It was all about the person that was receiving the blessing, not about me. This wasn't about, oh, look, let me show you that I can do this. It was, I was planning on something else coming through, and Archangel Michael said, no, I need to come through and do this blessing on this person. They're with me.
Yeah, I want to touch on that. And I want to say that to just do a technique to show that you can do it, if you're not effectively teaching, I kind of refer to that as maybe a horse and pony show. And as I say that, because it may come off as a little pointed, I want to also say with transparency, I have done that in my life. I'm not proud that I've done it, but I'm no longer feeling shame that I did it. I learned a lot from showing that I could do a technique, like losing the ability to do that technique until my ego got back under check. And I want to just say, if you do it, if you've done it, don't shame yourself for it. Work on not having the need or the desire to be seen that way. Because the truth is, when we can go and do a healing and not be known and not be seen and be happy that we were just a tool for Creator. We've made some, I'm going to just say progress with our ego. And as we care less about being seen, and as we care less about being acknowledged, the tools become infinite. The power volume goes way beyond anything we could have ever imagined. We are able, instead of having our energy, our aura 3 feet out, our aura can go out a mile or 2 miles and impact everybody in that region. Our energy field, instead of being, 5 to 30 or 50 feet, we can spread our energy field out around the entire planet. But we can't do that until we don't care about being recognized, and we don't care about being acknowledged, and we don't care about being noticed and noted and having a spotlight on us. It's when we're happy to serve without acknowledgement, anonymously, where the person we give to doesn't know who we are, and the person that we don't know who they are and they don't know who we are, that our abilities start widening exponentially. Those are one of the things. Harry, you may want to add to that.
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, it's
about doing it to help humanity in the universe, not about being a powerful or a well-known or a special healer. The truth is, this may sound kind of like weird or like I have low self-esteem. I don't. I have a lot of self-esteem. But the truth is, Harry and I are no better than any one of you listening or watching or not watching. We are no better than y'all. We may have more experience in certain parts of this world, but I promise you have more experiences in other ways too. And that was your path, and that is your mission. But if you're in alignment with your mission is similar to ours, and you have one healing or 5,000 under your belt, you're no less special than me or Harry. Do it. And don't worry about special or more special or less special. Just do it, because it's your path, it's your calling, and it's your service to mankind, humanity, the universe.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because if everybody were a healer, then nothing would happen. If everybody were a banker,
nothing would
happen. If everybody were, were a chef, nothing would happen. We'd all eat. We'd probably all eat really well. But still, it's about having all of these different aspects of life becoming mastered. We have our oil industry. We have our auto industry, and our food industry, and our healing industry, and our planes, and our doctors, and our teachers. My goodness, our teachers. And we need to treat everybody with the same respect that we give our sports figures. We need to give everybody the respect that we give our doctors. We need our doctors, our teachers, our parents. Everybody needs the same respect. We tend to want to show respect to those people that we kind of envy, and that's the wrong way. Each one of you are truly, truly a divine being. Each one of you are truly masters of your own world. And you all have things to share and to teach. The 4 agreements, of course. Don Miguel Ruiz, powerful.
Yeah.
I mean these are basic teachings, though.
Mm-hmm.
Those 4 agreements exist in every religion, in every culture, whether we pay attention to it or not. That was the nice thing about living in India. So many different cultures coming together, and learning so much about it. It's you know, we live in a powerful, powerful time. There is so much energy happening right now. A dear friend of mine who practices chaos magic, and everybody thinks he's mean and evil because he practices chaos magic. And I asked him one day, I said, "What does chaos magic mean to you?" And he goes, "It means that I can take any energy, good, bad, evil, holy, whatever you think that energy is, and I can transform it into a usable energy at any point in time. I can take it and use it for what I need to use it for." Typically that's music, that is helping people. You know, he has a very hard external side, but inside he always does the right thing. He never harms anybody, but he takes that negative energy that people see and he transforms it. I mean, I'm truly envious of his mastership of energy. He's very good at it. Now, when it comes to healing, he's not that person. You know, he'll call me and say, "Harry, can you work on this person for me?" Because that's not his technique. He does things differently, but still no lack of mastership of his area, and he does it without harming. And that's the one thing that so many people who get into that side and they want to practice the chaos and everything, they think that that means that they can be evil and that they can be negative and they can be harsh. I was like, no, that's not what it's about. You know, they just realize that energy is just that. Energy is energy, period. I'm gonna take a quick restroom break. Do you need to take a quick break? Or are you
I'm
okay?
good for now. I can
Okay.
talk while you're done.
Then I'm gonna let you
If I
talk.
run out of stuff to say, I'll take a break. Like that's gonna happen.
So I'm gonna let you take it for a second, and then if you need to use the restroom, then we can trade off.
Yeah. So I want to touch on doing no harm. That's a great point Harry made. I understand that there are times and places where harm needs to take place. I am not saying if you're in the military, do no harm. I'm not saying if somebody comes up and starts trying to beat the brakes off of you to do no harm. I'm saying in any sensible and possible manner where you have a choice to do no harm, consider doing no harm. When somebody says something and you feel insulted, try saying thank you for your honesty and your transparency and feel closer to that person because they could be honest with you. If they're being mean, if they're being hurtful, then maybe love yourself enough to take a greater distance from that person. That's doing no harm to yourself. Doing no harm is very, very powerful. It can change your life. And yes, it is the foundation of that can be read in the four or listened to in the four agreements. And it can be found in, probably almost every one of the 45,000 religions in the world. I think that's how many religions there are today. 45,000 religions. Take a moment. 45,000 religions. And many of them say it's their way or the highway to hell. And I'll touch on that. I don't agree with that. I think that there's one creator, or there's one God, or there's one universe, or there's one Hashem, or Allah, or Yeshua, or Wonkin Tonkin. There's one. I believe there's one creator. And I think there are 45,000 religions that have different cultures and belief systems based on connecting to that creator. And so when people tell you there's only one way to get there, I would take a moment and step back and figure that out on your own. I wouldn't just believe that. I would be sovereign and believe what you find to be true, not what everyone else says or what other people say that maybe don't know you or you don't know them. But circling back to doing no harm, I think that when you really, really become committed to doing no harm, your life will change. Instead of arguing and fussing and lowering your vibration to argue, your life will change. You can disagree. You can have different opinions. You can debate, but you don't have to do harm while doing it. You don't have to call somebody a butthead. You don't have to call somebody a schmuck. You can say, hey friend, we disagree. How about we talk about this deeper? And if we can't come to an understanding where we both see eye to eye, we agree to disagree. We agree that we don't need to agree on this. Rather than putting someone down for having a different opinion, that's not necessarily healthy to do it or to have it done to you.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's it's becoming more of a teaching than story night, isn't it?
Like we said, we could tell Creator what we had planned, and then we'll channel what Creator feels like. The people that will see this are in a place where the greatest interest is served by them hearing us.
Well, I think we've also both talked about doing this. We've talked about doing this talk and really sharing that energy of two shamans and two healers, what it is we do and why it is we do. For me, it's all about just seeing transformations of people. Amazing transformations. There's so many people. I mean, even people that I'm seeing here tonight, I've seen their transformation over the last 10, 12, 15 years, some of them. Yeah. And it's quite amazing. And it's the most satisfying thing to see somebody make that transformation, to see them come into themselves and for them to become the teacher, to become the master, to become the master of themselves and not have to call you every week and go, fix me, because that's not what I'm about. And there's a great topic right there. People, so my teacher who taught me the talismans behind me and who taught me this technique, so many people would come to him and go, oh, master, fix me. I picked up the black magic. I picked up a demon. I picked up, all of these negative things. And he would go, okay, let's see, how did this happen? Oh, it happened because you went to the casinos and you got drunk and you did all this stuff and you got sloppy and you got possessed. You got, it's usually low-level entities, but enough to cause you problems. And he said, okay, let me pull it off of you. But I want you not to go back there because you're susceptible to this. And so the first time that they would do it, he would go, just make a donation in the box if you want to. That's fine. Don't worry about anything. And then it would, a month would go by, 2 months would go by, and he would get a call and go, oh, master, I need you. And he goes, okay, come. And he goes, oh, you picked up the same type thing. You went back to the casino. Oh, I had to go with this person. I had to do that. Okay, $1,000. What? Last time you said, just do this. He goes, yeah, but last time I told you not to go. And he goes, okay, no problem. And he pays it. Gets clear. 3 or 4 months later, phone call comes back in. And I've been with my teacher when these calls come in. He's like, Master, I picked this horrible thing up. It's I can feel it moving through my body and crawling around my body. And it's so bad. And they come back, $10,000. Now, the reason he did that is because if you're going to continue to not change yourself, I'm going to continue to raise my price, because he knew, my teacher's in his 80s. It's like, I only have this much energy now. He's got an abundance of energy, but as we get older, we have to protect our energy. We have to protect it so that we can continue to use it for ourselves to live. the big exorcisms and things like that, those are a young man's game. And I still do them, but I do them very, very rarely. And I do them on very specific people.
They take a lot of energy, a
And
whole lot.
They do. And, when you're young, you're like, oh, I can get more energy. I can do all this. And so watch that with people in your life. If there are people draining you of energy over and over and over again, then you have to start deciding, you kind of have to start deciding who you want to, or how much energy you want to give to each person. If somebody's constantly draining you, then that's on you. It's that old saying, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you. Or fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. There we go, that's the one. I can't remember all my sayings. But they are true. And so, even with certain people, I've got people that come back with the same things over and over and over again. And I keep telling them, it's like, if you'll change this aspect of your life, you'll never come back to me with this. There's two different groups of people who come to me. The first group are people who want to be fixed. The people who've got something wrong and they need something fixed. The second group are people who want to be enlightened. And people who come and they lay down on the table under all of this sacred geometry back here, and you have, they come in here and we open the third eye and we give them more and more energy, and we help them to build their meditation so that they can bring themselves into a higher place. Now, truly, that's my goal. My goal is to work with those people more and more.
I agree with that. And I have a phrase that I utilize on occasion when somebody comes in and they want the energy work done, but they don't want to do their work to do the healing within. And I tell them, well, you have to do your internal work also. I can help you erase this pain. I can help you not have this pain or this tumor or whatever, but you have to do your internal work. Or it can come back. And I say, and one of the things I say is, I'm not going to be a bottle of aspirin shaman. I'm not just going to take away the symptoms and have people feel good and get that mountaintop. I want people to heal and evolve. And that is where I put my energy and my time. That is my path. That is my mission, or I would not want that. Wanting that is part of it. But I don't want to be that bottle of aspirin shaman. I don't want to line 1,000 people up a day and just whoosh, 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 and blow positive energy or love or, whatever to get rid of their pain. That's temporary. Right. That's a fix. That's like passing out, a false illusion of healing or a fake drug.
It's one thing to, with divine beings, with Amma and Amaji and during the time of Sai Baba and who am I trying to think of? There's a couple of John of God, all these, and us to another level. There's a time to do blessings. Yeah. There's a time to bless people. There's a time to show people how to heal. There's a time to heal people. Sometimes the healing happens because that builds enough faith in the person for them to take action and responsibility for themselves. And that's just it right there. We help people enough for them to be able to help themselves.
Yes.
Now, a blessing, I'm happy to do a blessing for anybody because a blessing is very simple. But the way I do blessings is by channeling divine beings, not by giving my energy. I learned a long time ago that if I could make myself clear enough to be able to channel divine blessings, then things could actually happen. You know, those blessings are crazy because you see people change their lives over those blessings.
Yeah.
Nobody's getting fixed. I'm not fixing anybody. I'm not doing anything special. I'm not manifesting golden eggs in my hand. I'm not sprinkling vibhuti over somebody that's coming out of my hands and shooting out. And these aren't about magic. It's not about the magic. The magic is that the blessings get people to turn their lives around. The blessings get people to realize that they are also a blessing and they are also a blesser. That every single person has a blessing and every single person has a blessing to give. There's one that they're set to receive, and there's one that they're set to give. And the one that they give can be very, very powerful. It doesn't have to be a big spiritual awakening. You know, I like people doing their work, but even, you know, we could go into a tangent that would be very, 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 very hard because it's very polar, and that would be medicine.
Yeah.
You know,
I ain't scared.
And well, there's the medicine the way that people think of it, as in your peyotes, your ayahuasca, your different chemicals that people use to help them to awaken. And I don't see it as bad. It's not my path. You know, even they've told me, they say, you can't do that this lifetime.
Yeah,
Other people can,
sure.
you can't.
Right.
And
I got the same memo.
yeah, but I have friends who pour medicine and they're very good at it and they have amazing results.
Mm-hmm.
But my whole thing is always, are you treating it like medicine?
Right.
Or is it becoming is it becoming is it becoming a drug? Is it becoming alcohol, or is it becoming sugar, or is it becoming a narcotic? And just making sure that it doesn't. Making sure that as you do any of these practices, because they're all good, there are no bad practices with it. There's some people who are on the call or on the video tonight who know that I don't dislike it. I want it respected. And I think that's the side of it, is that always respecting the medicine. Whether the medicine is coming to see one of us, whether it's going and seeing one of the great gurus or one of the great teachers, or whether it's if the medicine is you sitting in meditation, whether the medicine is chanting. We all know I love chanting, and there's great medicine in that. You know, when I chant over somebody, I see things happen. I see results when I chant over somebody, because there again, it's not me. I'm just aligning them with holy energies. So all of these things, find what your medicine is. Find who you are. What do you resonate with? Sometimes the medicine is the sacred geometry that we have in the background. Sometimes it's talismans. Sometimes it's a hug. Sometimes it's going forehead to forehead. Sometimes it's somebody walking up and just doing some massage on you and opening up points.
Oh,
just like that one right there.
Yeah, that one right there. That's the one. You know how dogs, when you scratch your stomach, their foot does this? My foot's doing that. That feels good.
You know, there's so many. Sometimes the best medicine is walking outside in Houston in the morning and it's a blue sky and it's 60 degrees or 58 degrees and you're
Instead of 120.
Oh my goodness. That's my best medicine. That truly is. Cynthia, Gypsy Medicine Woman, I know you've got to go and set up for your show. It's starting in a few minutes. Keep an eye out for this person. Gypsy Medicine Woman. She goes live a couple of times a week. And her teaching is to flip the script. You know, teaching
Mirror
love.
work.
You know,
I love it.
Your hidden love story. This is powerful work. We jump on each other's broadcasts on a regular basis and check in, and I love her. I love her brother. I love what she does. Really, I love it enough that I'm gonna put it back up here one more time because we definitely we share each other all the time. Gypsy Medicine Woman on YouTube. Please look her up. Join in with her. Get a reading from her. Get a reading from her. She does readings every time she goes live. So get on the list. Wait for a reading. Do yourself that favor.
And thank you for the love and light, Gypsy Love. I'm sending it back to you too. Thank you.
So we've done all of this stuff. So it is Halloween, and I do want to have some fun here. So I'm going to try to throw this picture up in here, and we'll see what it's going to do. So sometimes when you're doing the work, you end up doing fire ceremonies. This particular one, I see, it looks like an animal coming out of the bowl. It looks, I see the two legs, and I know you don't see my cursor. I haven't figured out how to do that yet, how to make my cursor go live, but it's like two legs coming out of the back of it. That's one of them that was from a clearing that I was doing, and I'm burning the talismans from that clearing. There was another one that I put out here, and it's just never showed up. I thought I had it. Let me try one more time and see if I can send this and get it to airdrop from my phone. And I can pull it just straight onto. Okay, and this one, to me, this looks like a rooster. And so this particular one, all these animals were coming out. There was another one there was a horse head that came out, just clearing all of these different animals out from somebody. And it's just talking about the darker side of what we do. That's just part of what happens. And you look at these to help identify what's going on. That one, there was a lot of black magic on that person. And so these are things that were coming out. And after I'd worked on them, some huge things happened. And I don't talk about people. I never talk about specific people when I'm doing these because that's their privacy. But anytime you're doing this work, you've just got to look for signs. There's enough stories that we've told each other and we've been a part of these signs and the way things show up. Cars with certain license plates when things happen.
Yeah.
Just all of it.
Yeah, I was just talking to somebody the other day, and we were making comments about somebody and the devil and stuff like that. And I promise you, I pull up right behind a vehicle, and their license plate says Lucifer on it. And I had to take a picture of it and send it to Harry. We play the license plate game, where if we see a cool license plate, we take pictures and send them back and forth. Oh, that one's worth a point. That one's 2 points. That one's 5 points. That one's 10 points. That one is worth so many points we can't rate it.
On a completely separate note, completely unrelated, but really it is related when you think about it. Everybody, I don't care what your politics are. I don't need to know what your politics are. I don't want to know what your politics are. I do want you to get out and vote. I want you to get out and take part in the process. It's how we run. It's how we work. I'm not here to tell you what's good and what's bad. I'm just here to say, make your voice be heard.
Yeah. If you don't vote,
that came from
it's
them.
hard to complain about the change that didn't take place. If you don't vote, it's hard to complain about who won. Not that I want to hear you complain. Not that I want you complaining.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you for being with us. I know we're running really late tonight. I mean, we never know how long it's going to take. It's 11 o'clock right now, so we've been on for an hour and a half. I think we're probably going to start our closing stories and finish it up. Oh, hold on. Let's see here. This was my cars with different license plate. Love following those signs. I could write a book. Well, you know what Dr. Joe would say to that. He would say, write the book. Don't talk about it. Write it.
Yeah, write it.
Just like me, I've been talking about it for a long time. I've got one almost ready to be edited, but let's tell more stories. Let's do more work. Let's have more fun. I truly am blessed to do the work that I do. I'm blessed that my life changed. I'm blessed that this little monk showed up out of nowhere at a time when I needed it to happen, and said, last night in meditation you asked for a teacher. Here I am. What do you want to know? I think I may have told that story last time, and so it doesn't really need to be told, other than all of these things that happen in our lives who help define who we are, who help build who we are. Own your story, build your story, become the master you're supposed to become. Love. God, I can't say it enough. Please love. Love ever, hurt never.
Yes.
It's a great phrase. A man taught, Francis. That was his phrase. That was his he ended every night with love ever, hurt never. And I loved it, and I use it. I think any great phrases that somebody comes up with should be spread. Anything that spreads love, anything that spreads light, anything that spreads happiness, security, positivity, grounding. And this is something right now, he doesn't know this. We haven't talked about this yet, but I'm going to pull him into another one of these soon.
Cool.
And I'm going to do a complete show on grounding. And we're going to talk about all of our different grounding techniques. I'm just going to blast it. We could teach a master class of it. We should probably charge for it. But you know what? The world needs to learn to ground, and we should do it. And so we'll put it together where we can build it for a month in advance and let everybody know when it's going to be. I think it will probably be one of the most attended events that we've done. And probably up until that point, I'll do some little shorts on that. But really, I would love to do a show on grounding, and based on our conversations that we've had over the last 6 months, this is the guy that I should be doing it with. I have my grounding techniques. He has his grounding techniques, and I know we'd both love to share them with you.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So I see everybody's looking to getting ready to get off. It looks like everybody's making it to the end of theirs. Maybe the California people are still pretty early, but it's 11 o'clock here in Houston. People have to go to work tomorrow. I don't know if the Astros ever got to play or if they postponed till tomorrow. But everybody, be well, be happy, be healthy, stay blessed. And I'm going to...
They lost 1-1.
It's 0-0.
Oh, No, is
they're-
that the game
we're
count?
both 1-1. No,
We
no,
lost. We won last.
We won. We lost the first one. We won the second one.
Right. So.
So
Oh,
I'm gonna
postponed today.
postpone. Yeah. There was a huge rain there, so
Okay. That's what I thought that we're on game 2.
so
I must have slept.
we're
through
in game
one of
3.
them.
This is game 3 now.
I
so.
thought we were on game 2.
So
I was
anyway,
busy.
look forward to that. I'm gonna let Eric have the final word here. Oh heck yeah, Matt.
What did Matt say?
Oh, he said was wanting to learn better grounding.
Cool. We're definitely going to do a live class on grounding, and we'll teach a plethora of techniques and walk you through them. And we'll put some focus into that. We'll put our heart and soul into teaching that.
Yeah, because we'll build some panels.
Yeah.
I'll build some photo panels for us to work with, and
it's important.
it is. It is. If we could get everybody to ground, if we get everybody to have some level of grounding, thank you so much, Barry.
Thank you, Barry. And Matt.
Yeah, if we could get everybody to start grounding, you know how much better our world would be if people would just ground a little bit?
Oh.
And they want to. The thing is that people want to. Even I search YouTube, and people are looking to ground. This is a
How
topic.
to get grounded.
You know, it's an important topic. So let's do it. Let's put it together. We'll do a mastermind on that and put together all the photo, and I'll see if I can find some video panels of what we're talking about, and really start talking about some techniques. And it will be a class as opposed to being just a wouldn't it be cool if we could, or we'll teach technique. It'll be a night of technique.
And experiential.
Yeah.
We'll give you stuff to do. So maybe have some of your friends join you. So, sometimes when you teach grounding techniques, it's nice to have a second or third person there with you.
Absolutely.
To practice together and kind of check in with each other. So yeah, that's a good idea. I'm glad to be a part of that.
Yeah.
I want to also go back to doing no harm and say hurt people, but not all hurt people hurt people. One of the things I encourage people to do is check in with yourself and see if this fits for you, because I'm not here to tell you how to be. I'm here to inspire spiritual growth. And I believe a facet of that comes through making an attempt to do no harm. And when you're hurt, learning to not lash out and hurt someone back. Occasionally taking, let's just say hurt comes in points. You take 2 hit points, so you want to give back 3 or 4. Try taking those 2 hit points, if they were innocent, and embracing them with love and telling the person, hey, when you said that, my feelings hurt. How can we talk this out in a space of love? There are only 2 roots to any emotion. One is fear, and one is love. You can never have anger without fear. I in fact, until the next podcast, I encourage you to come up with ways to have anger without fear, and I can track it and stalk it back to fear every time. At least I have been able to for more than half my life since the concept was presented to me. And I started arguing with my teacher for 3 or 4, maybe 5 years that I don't want to admit. And finally, one day I conceded. Not got conceded. I conceded and said, you're right. I cannot find a way to get to anger without a root of fear. And everything else is love, or a cry for love, which is love. So look at what makes you mad. It doesn't make you mad. Your ego creates anger. That comes from within. And I can get angry. I'm not a master at this, but I have figured enough out and fallen on my face in this enough times to teach people 10,000 ways not to. I can't tell you how to master it because I have not, but I can tell you 10,000 ways I have fallen on my face in this department. And, you know, if I share 10,000 ways I've done it, maybe you won't do it that way.
There we go.
All right. I love y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Take care. Be well. Be happy. Stay healthy. Stay blessed. And I'm going to play us out with some music.